One of the most popular adventures in Disneyland, the Matterhorn Bobsleds, which take guests on a chilling bobsled run through icy caverns, fog banks, eerie, colorful icicles and ice crystals, and a terrifying encounter with the abominable snowman.
Hi, passengers, and welcome to another exciting detour from our attraction series. I'm your host today, your ringmaster Holly, and here with me I have three of my favorite co-hosts: Jungle Skipper Jay, Bellhop George, and Food Fairy Kris. How is everyone doing today?
We're good.
Doing good.
Aloha, I'm fantastic.
Great. So today we will be discussing the one, the only Matterhorn Bobsleds at Disneyland, California. You either love this ride or love to hate it, because let's be honest, it's a little bit of a backbreaker, right? I don't think even Stan wrote it, right? Because of that very reason, I believe. But it's very iconic Disney. So Matterhorn debuted in June of 1959. It was the very first tubular steel roller coaster. So today I thought we could just discuss our favorite things about the attraction, some facts, and any special memories we have. Anybody want to start?
This goes back to boyhood, because I grew up in San Diego, and when we would go to Disneyland, you drive up to 5, and your first sign you knew you were close to Disneyland was the big orange swap meet sign. And you knew once you saw that and got past that, you'd see the Matterhorn.
That's so funny. That's what's on my list too. So you can see it from the freeway. Like that, when you know.
And that was that. It was like,
out.
It would draw you in. The closer it would get, you were that much closer to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's on my list too.
Well, Imagineer Kevin Rafferty, where his house resides, he could actually go out to his back balcony and look, and he could see the peak of the Matterhorn from his house.
Oh, wow.
Well, and that's funny, too, because that is only 147 feet high compared to the mountains at Disney World. It's a lot shorter. So the fact that you can see that in that area is kind of comical, actually.
And I think with the Matterhorn, just in general, it sits in a very unique spot, like right in between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland. Mm-hmm. I think that was the only attraction at the time.
I remember back in the day, you would have the Matterhorn on the Fantasyland and the Tomorrowland side of the map.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it was eventually pushed into just the Fantasyland side, correct? Yeah.
Yes. So I have ridden this so many times, but preparing for the show, it's amazing how much history there is on this one attraction. And we're learning that as we go through. I'm really loving this attraction series, because I'm learning so much about these rides that we've ridden so many times. But I know that there's 2 separate tracks on it, but I had no idea that one went faster than the other. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
I had no idea. So it's showing that the right track is 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and the left track is 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So I'm like, well, now I have to try them out and go back to back.
And for the 2 sides, one actually sits more in Fantasyland, the other.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the shorter one of the 2.
Yeah, which makes sense.
It's the one ride at Disneyland where you have to do it twice in the same day, because you've got 2 totally different tracks, just like Space Mountain and Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, I know. And does anybody know the Yeti's name?
I was trying to make a Harold and Maude joke, but I couldn't come up with one.
But what I didn't know is that he wasn't added until the first refurbishment, 1978. Right. I didn't know that. So
you guys haven't heard it yet, but that's the intro to this episode, is the original commercial for that, when they introduced the Harold to the Matterhorn.
I'm loving the commercials that you're adding. It's so cool.
Know where the original Yeti resides now?
Tower of Trash. But I'm not bitter.
No.
Yeah, because I tried to find it because it used to be what you just said. And I was Googling where is it now, and I couldn't find it. It was just saying storage in a storage room now. So
He's it's as you're going into the furthest furthest elevator for Guardians, he's up there with Dolores from the Country Bear. So let's stab my heart twice. Thanks.
yeah.
Oh.
And that's where I thought he was, because I swore I had seen him, but then when I was trying to confirm that, it just kept saying he was in storage. So I don't know. Now, does the new Yeti have a different name?
New Yeti, no, it's the same one, but the new Yeti is awesome. Have you guys seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
When was he put in?
2015.
Yes, then I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
And had you seen the old one, Kris?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the new one still scares me.
I was going to say, it's the best
Every
part.
time.
Because the old one
Every
scared
time.
me as a kid. This one scares me as an adult, especially when he's like
Exactly.
chasing you.
That's
But
the worst.
technically, isn't he considered an abominable snowman versus a Yeti?
Oh, I don't know. I thought they were the
Yes.
same thing.
He is an abominable snowman, but I think we just like Yeti because it's nice to see a fully functioning Yeti.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first lift when you're going and he's chasing you, it seriously gives me the shivers every single time, no matter how many times.
I knew it was there. I thought I was ready for it, and then all of a sudden I was 5 years old again, and this big scary thing was coming after me.
Well,
but you're supposed to get the shivers. You're in the Alps.
In shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing that I really like too, because when you're melting, you get a little bit of a chill factor on that ride, so cools you off for a short bit.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Well, then you try to adjust your back after.
Well, I was going to say, that splash down at the lake, that actually is there for a purpose. It's to slow you down and cool down the brakes.
Mm-hmm. Good to know. Yeah.
And it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that ride is actually only 2 minutes long. I don't know. To me, it seems like it's longer.
Much longer.
Yeah. It really does. So who wants to talk about the basketball court? Because there's so many rumors about this, that they had to put it in for permits. It's for people on their break, but who knows the real story? Anybody? Jay, how did I know?
I'm like Hermione Granger up front with my hand in the air. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
I've been in there, actually. I'm lucky enough to have been to the top of the Matterhorn. And it is the coolest experience. It's a latch, and you lift the latch on the top of a mountain, and you climb up there, and it is the coolest view to look down on all of Disneyland like Simba.
Wow. That is so awesome. And is that how Tinkerbell gets down?
Now, with the original Disneyland Skyway, that used to go through the Matterhorn, correct?
Yeah.
And you guys know why the real reason the Skyway went away?
I don't, and I really would like to.
The real reason the Skyway went away was when it was time to replace all the pylons. Mm-hmm. They could not replace the one that was inside the Matterhorn. So they had two options: lose the Matterhorn or lose the Skyway.
Well,
so
that's
that
an
old
easy
pylon is still in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not even a given right there, which one to go.
Yeah, it was tear the Matterhorn apart to basically tear it down and rebuild it, or just lose the Skyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Now, the max speed on this attraction is about the same as Spaceship. No, not Spaceship.
Space Mountain.
Space Mountain. At 27
thingy.
miles an hour, Space Mountain is 26, I think, 26 and a half. It seem like it's faster?
They both seem much faster than 27 miles per hour.
I get the speed in the dark because you can't see, so it makes you feel like you're going a lot faster. But this technically really isn't dark. like Space Mountain is.
Maybe it's
so
because like you're trying to get away from Harold, so maybe it feels like, yeah, this is a good speed. Like,
come
but also
on,
like
Bill's
Space
faster.
Mountain. But also like Space Mountain, you don't know where you're going because it twists and turns and dips in and out so much.
I know. It's so good. I really think that that's my kids' like favorite ride. I don't know that they would say, "Oh, that's my favorite ride," but it's like every single time we go, that's the first ride that they want to ride, and they always ask to ride it at least 3 times. Yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
always the first ride, and we actually usually do it first because it ends up getting such a long line that it's always smart to go and jump on that one first. But we also started doing single riders a lot now that the kids are older, because that was even a tip because, you know, they sit in 3s and it's hard to find 3 people. So single rider goes so fast. So if you don't mind doing the single rider, I mean, that's a good way to get on it quickly and several times. So we do that a lot. Did you guys see about Walt was the first person to ride this ride? He was so anxious to ride it. This is what I read, that he didn't even want to wait for the brakes to be installed. He just had him pile up bales of hay. Jay's like, yes, I know this. I know every story.
No, I'm just cracking up because that is so Walt.
Daredevil.
Yeah. But yeah, so it said that he had him just pile up bales of hay just so he can crash into it, because he's like, I gotta ride this. Like, I cannot wait to install brakes. Like, who needs brakes? They just get some hay.
There were some Imagineers that were discouraging the fact of putting the Matterhorn in to begin with, and Walt said, no, this is going to be great,
right?
Perfect. And
well, they had to
Disneyland without the Matterhorn now.
Well, they had to do something because when they built the castle, all the dirt went where the Matterhorn was, and so it was, let's just call it Happy Hill for teenagers.
Yes.
And Walt was very unhappy and wanted something on that spot.
Yeah.
So I know that you had mentioned this. I don't know if it was while we were chit-chatting or if it was actually on an episode another time, Jay, but you were saying that there was no plans for this, and maybe it even came up in one of the Imagineering shows, but there was no plans. That there was this dirt, like George is saying, and there's like, oh, let's just build this.
Yeah, and Bob Gurr talked about this on the Imagineering story, because we were talking about what one attraction we could see being removed from a park, and I said, sadly, I could see it being the Matterhorn, because they slapped it together with no blueprints. They literally made it up as they went along. So Matterhorn does need a lot of TLC, which is why it goes down for a yearly refurbishment.
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit, I would love if it didn't hurt so bad. I mean, it makes it part of the ride, but it would really be fantastic if it wasn't so painful.
Well,
sometimes you can ride it and it's okay, but then other times it just gets you just right, and you're like, oh, my butt, my back.
Am I the only one who thinks it was better when they had the old cars and not the new one?
Yeah, I think so.
The new cars made it worse for me.
It seems like it grinds more.
Yeah.
And like bottoms out or something. Or maybe I'm getting older and heavier. I don't know.
Well, it's like the new cars don't seem to like have the shock absorbers the old ones did.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just need to do that or what. I mean, I couldn't imagine them actually starting fresh. Just costs and how long that would take, but
now, what do you guys think of your opinion of the rumors? I don't think it's ever going to come to fruition, but when they were saying, oh, well, you already have, because they were considering for like an expansion of Fantasyland or an update of Fantasyland, and they said, well, you already have a Snowy Peak Mountain, might as well just retheme that to Frozen. And then there was a huge uproar.
Not going to happen.
No. Yeah,
no, you'd have too many little kids crying that can't go on that ride to see Anna and Elsa.
I love Frozen, but come on, you can't.
Yeah, no.
You can't theme that.
No.
No way.
Harold might eat the sisters.
Yeah. Well, think about the way the inside was when that ride was originally developed, and it was basically just a hollow shell with a track in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing really happened until 78 when it got its first major refurb, and they divided it up into those chambers, and it made it a lot more interesting, because I think it would have been kind of boring just having this big open shell with not a whole lot there.
Yeah.
Well, you had Space Mountain open the year before, and you had Big Thunder open up a year later, so they had to bring the Matterhorn up with the other two mountains.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, that's actually the very first year that I rode on the Matterhorn. It had just reopened after the refurb, because I was there for the first time in 78. So, I never did get to see it in its original state, but I thought it was pretty cool. So,
yeah, that's probably a good thing too. I mean, it would have been cool to see the difference, but
Yeah.
It would be cool to have seen it, but I only remember like this version of the Matterhorn.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my first trip when I was 21, when we were...
Here, that infamous 21-year-old trip again.
I know. the hashtag 21-year-old trip. George ruined my trip.
I was a late bloomer for Disneyland, but I tell you, that was the first thing that caught my eye when I was pulling up, because I stayed on.
Wait, sorry. I'm sorry, George. I'm sorry. Hashtag George ruined my trip. How did you ruin someone's trip on the Matterhorn?
You just can't. You can't wait, can you?
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
So
I'm going to drag you through this hashtag mud.
Okay. So, well, this was which was it? 2017. And it's when I went out for the opening of Mission Breakout. And
Tower of Trash.
Or, yeah, as you call Tower of Trash. But so I thought, well, before I go to DCA, I thought the first day I'll go to Disneyland. And I thought, as Holly mentioned, the Matterhorn and Indiana Jones, either one of those two, that's the first ride I go on. And I thought this time, well, I'll go on the Matterhorn. So I don't know why I didn't go. I usually go in the single rider line, but I didn't, because I think the line was just really short. There was no point of me even going in the single rider line. So in front of me was these two young girls. I don't know. They're probably preteen.
Use your words carefully.
Yes, I am. I'm careful.
I can tell he's like really thinking before he's like.
I should take a screenshot for the passengers, because you see the hamster really moving.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it to my attention. So now I have to reword everything. So it was their first time on this. They knew of the Matterhorn. I was hearing their conversation, because I like to listen in, but I
like to eavesdrop on private conversations.
Of course, always. And
then butt in.
They were sisters. One was a little older than the other. They were trying to figure out the seating arrangement. Oh, should I sit in front of you? You sit in front of me, yada, yada. And they said, the young one asked, is this really fast? Is it really loud? They heard that there was a Yeti on it, but they didn't know. And I thought, oh, please, please let me sit in the same part with these two. And sure enough, it was 1, 2, 3. I was in the back, and I thought that's even better. And as we were going in, we were climbing up the hill in the dark, and you're hearing the Yeti doing the growling, the snarling sounds. And while we're going up, I'm doing the theme from Jaws, and I'm going da-dun, 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 and they're already screaming. And I'm thinking, this is a joke. We're not even doing anything yet. We're climbing up the hill and they're screaming. And I'm just making sure you guys are laughing. Did I say anything that...
Only for us with dirty minds, right?
Passengers, if you could see the three of us were giggling and holding our faces in bright red. Because we're expecting George to trip over his words.
Yes.
So anyway, as we were climbing up the hill, as I said, they're in the front, I'm in the back, and then as it starts going, and they're screaming, it's whipping us around, and then I knew I remembered where the Yetis were in the ride. So right as the Yeti showed himself and was moving and was, oh God.
So the Yeti exposed himself? Oh my God.
Oh.
I don't even know why I
Hold
tried.
on, screenshot, everyone, screenshot for the passengers.
Oh my God.
Woo.
Okay, George, continue.
Hashtag George ruined your show.
It really isn't
Oh.
you, George. It's us. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's us. It's not you, George. It's us.
When we turned the corner and the Yeti,
Popped out.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I
He
think
makes his appearance.
Dude, I'm crying
you
over
go.
here.
The Yeti makes his appearance.
I roared. I did
Oh
a
my
roar at the
God.
same time that the Yeti did. So it was they were getting it from the front and the back and
So they had. So they had Yeti stereo.
I thought you said that they were young girls.
so
The cops are gonna knock on your door tomorrow, dude.
Oh my God.
let me rephrase.
Let me rephrase that. They had Yeti stereo sound.
Yes. They had the echoing sounds of the Yeti from the Yeti, and then they had
You.
yes, exactly.
This might be the best episode ever.
So
stomach
they were
hurts.
even more frightened because they didn't know the sounds were coming from me. They thought there were Yetis all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
So it was apparently it was a much better ride than I thought it was compared to how you guys were seeing it. So.
Found this funny. Hashtag George ruined my trip.
So were they really upset with you that you made
No,
those sounds?
they didn't know it was. They didn't know I was the one making
okay.
the sounds. They
Okay.
literally thought it was the ride. Because I timed myself because I knew where the Yetis were at. I knew basically the sounds that the Yeti makes, so I did it at the exact same time of making the sounds the Yeti did.
Oh my goodness.
So next time they wrote it, they were probably like,
Yeah, what
What
happened?
happened?
To
Why
it
is
was
it
so
not,
much
you know, why is
scarier
it
last
Are the
time.
speakers broken?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Yeti's broken. Go figure.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
So is that your only George ruined my trip story for the Matterhorn?
I don't think
this
that I could
episode?
top that one.
No, I don't think so.
I
either.
don't think you could either. No, let it. Just like Elsa, dude, let it go.
Oh
Let
my
it
goodness.
go.
Because we have laughing at you, with you.
Hey, I asked about the basketball court, and then we ended up talking about you coming out the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
never went back to the basketball court, and I know people are probably curious about it.
It's
so can
actually
you go?
not a basketball court. It's just a hoop on a wall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really nothing as grand as it sounds. It's a very utilitarian space inside. All you see is like girders and wood.
Now, but
Yeah.
was that put there for permitting because they had to say it was like I heard it
No.
was
Break room
no.
or something.
Yeah, it's just something in the break room.
I heard okay. And
'Cause
did you
there's
sign
chain
that
link-
wall?
No, I didn't work on the Matterhorn. I just I had friends that did, so I got to go up one morning before hours.
Yeah, that's really
And
cool.
I wish I'd taken I wish cell phone cameras were a thing at the time because I would have.
I
been
wish that
top of
you
the
had
world.
all of these stories on film as well. The
You know, I'm actually
Haunted
really glad a
Mansion.
lot of my stories aren't on film.
Are not a
Now, you guys know the Matterhorn is haunted, right? There's 2
Oh, yeah, tell
ghosts
us about
in the
that.
Matterhorn.
Well, I have heard that.
So
I did not see them.
and this is why it's so important to use your safety belt and do exactly as a ride operator instructs you. Because back in '64, a teenager from Long Beach, as they're going up the lift hill, unbuckled his belt, stood up, did the King of the World, fell out, fell backwards down the lift hill, and you know what happens next.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he's said to haunt the Matterhorn, as well as the infamous Dolly, who everyone, it's unsure, if I use quotes, what happened to her. And let's be honest, she undid her safety belt. She came out. She got run over by a car. But I've had friends that work the Matterhorn that say at night it's very uncomfortable. That you feel someone watching you in those areas.
Ooh. And what was the guy's name? So we have Dolly and
Mark Maples. He was a 15-year-old from Long Beach. So what all 15-year-olds do, look at me, I'm funny, because I did the same thing. But he fell out.
That's sad.
Yeah. So kids, when they say buckle your safety belt and stay seated with your arms, legs, feet, hand, noses, tongues, everything inside, do what they say.
They say it for a reason,
Absolutely.
right? Oh my goodness. Kris, the book that you were reading on Bob Gurr, was there any special item in there that caught
There
your
was
attention?
a little bit of information in there about the original construction team, that it was, of course, Wed Enterprises, but it was also Aero Development was the track developer, right, Jay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I read that.
they wound up actually being a third of Aero Development wound up being purchased by Walt back then after they did this, because he was so taken with their work that he wanted to be an integral part of that company as well. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other fun facts before we go into? I think George already said his memory. I think we need to leave.
I don't know if
we
we
don't
can
want to
top
revisit.
that.
So I know for me, it wasn't, when I was trying to think about what a good memory, I mean, I have so many of them because we ride this so often, but I didn't realize that it was a memory until I was writing everything down. But the mountain climbers, I don't know when the last time I've seen them, and I couldn't tell you a date like Kris can. But now that is one of my memories of just randomly looking up during the day and being like, hey, look at that. That's so cool. Look at the guys up there climbing the mountain, and you just go about your day. But that's such a cool memory to say that you've seen that. And it just seemed like a normal thing, like someone picking up the trash or something. There was mountain climbers up there.
So when did that end? That they stopped doing that? I was
trying to find, and maybe Jay knows, I was looking and I see all sorts of different dates. 2012, they like brought it back, 2015, but I honestly can't remember the last time because it was such a normal thing to see them up there.
Yeah.
The 90s was the last time I remember seeing them, because they stopped doing it before I worked there. But I remember when Mickey Mouse used to climb the Matterhorn.
Yes.
And that was always the coolest thing.
But I did see something when I was looking up, and it said like something about 2012. They brought it back for a special event, but it wasn't.
That was probably
like
after that refurbishment that they did that.
Yeah, so maybe
it was a major refurb.
Yeah, in 2015. Yeah, so maybe that's when they brought it back for a day or something.
And then they might have also done it for the 60th anniversary too, just something special.
I can't leave this episode without saying I wish they would still bring the Christmas ornament and place it back on top of the Matterhorn like they used to.
Yeah.
I want that Christmas star on the Matterhorn every season.
I know.
That would be
I don't know.
cool.
There's so many cool things that they've done with the Matterhorn, and that's why I thought this was an important attraction to talk about. There's just so much.
It's a true Disney original.
Iconic.
Did they end up fixing the one side yet? Because at the last time I was there, they had like the construction netting up when
Yeah, it's fixed.
left.
Yeah, because they have who knows right now, but yeah, they fixed it.
Well, when they did that refurb back in 2012, and they did the whole paint thing on the outside, besides doing the things that they fixed up on the inside, I found this one thing that was really interesting to me was the paint job that they did, the snow portion, to make it look more reflective like actual snow. They put glass beads in that paint. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is
cool.
cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very
I also
cool.
like that the new paint scheme kind of matches the original paint scheme from the
Mhm.
60s.
Yeah. I know. I love it. I think that's one thing that whenever we go, even if it's once a week, I somehow always get a picture of it. Like whether it's like with my drink and the Matterhorn in the background, or on Dumbo. I have a cute picture on Dumbo with my son's little monogrammed Mickey ears, and I have his name and the Matterhorn in the background. Like, I don't know, it's just such a great photo op, always in the background. Love it.
Yeah.
It's such a piece of Disneyland. I think I think as much as the castle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too. But my big memory, besides 78, like I said, that was the first time that I had been there. My next time that I was there was in 2016, and it was like right at the tail end of the 60th anniversary. But what was so funny about that, now Paul had never been there, so this was like a real, something really special for him, because he got a look at that. And he's like, oh, wow, we have to go on there. And I'm like, okay, So we went on once. And then, we were there for like 5 days. So we went to Disneyland 3 times. And we went on twice the first day that we were there. And then we went back. We went to California Adventure. And then we went back to Disneyland. He goes, hey, I want to go on that again. I'm like, okay. So we went on it again twice. So that he deemed that his favorite ride at Disneyland. So yeah, it was a total of 6 times that we went on that while we were on that trip. So
Cool.
yeah, he loves it.
Okay, so we got everybody, George. We got yours. We definitely got yours. Oh my goodness.
You know you're a Disneyland fan when you miss the sound of Harold screaming.
And George.
And George.
screaming. And the Teen
Harold
Girls.
and George. It's a new band. Watch for their next CD.
Well, if Jay, do you have anything else? I know
I'm good.
Okay.
I've had a great time here today.
Yes. So passengers, it looks like our bobsled has made it down the mountain.
Wait. Who's next? Who's
That's right. That's right. Yep. Our bobsled just broke down.
We got
toast
stopped by
and
Harold.
tacos on the floor.
We just got stopped by Harold.
Who hasn't done one? You haven't, right, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay. It's you.
Well, then you know where we're going next time.
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood,
Small World?
1939. I can do Small World. We're doing Tower of Terror next week.
All right.
Ooh. Well, that should be a lot of fun.
I got several stories for that one.
Oh, jeez.
George and I have some great stories together on Tower of Terror, and they're all good.
Okay.
I'll be ready for my tissues ready for laughing, but okay, passengers, our bobsled has made it down the mountain now. We had a momentary gap, and it's time for us to unload. So with that, Ken, take it away.
If you would like to keep the adventure going after the show, be sure to like our Facebook friends page, Grand Circle Tours Magical Ticket Holders. While you're on Facebook, like our group page, Grand Circle Tours. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Grand Circle Tours Podcast, as well as on Instagram, GCT Podcast, and our YouTube channel, Grand Circle Tour. If you would like to email us, drop us a line at gctpodcast@gmail.com. T-shirts and other fun merchandise can be found at tpublic.com. Simply search Grand Circle Tour Podcast. If you enjoyed your adventure, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Only one rule, make it good. All logos, sounds, songs, and music that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are the full ownership of the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be the ownership of the Grand Circle Tour Podcast. Thank you for riding with us, and welcome home.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor. Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor. Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.